The city of O'Fallon has a rich history that reflects who we are today. And remembering where we came from can teach us important lessons for future generations. You see, there is a cemetery in town called Sage Chapel that is the resting place for hundreds of African Americans who once lived in our community. Recently, Sage Chapel was restored by local residents in the city of O'Fallon. And that's why a group of devoted history enthusiasts gathered at the VFW Post 5077 and Ladies Auxiliary to hear local historian Doris Keevan-Frank speak about her genealogical quest to help one man learn his past.
And we're talking about one of the families that lived here in the O'Fallon area in St. Charles County in the 1800s, a family that was born into slavery. One of their members went on to serve in the Civil War, and we have some of the descendants in town today. So we're talking about their family and their story so that others can hear their history.
During the presentation, Doris Keevan-Frank spoke about her search to find George Abington's grandfather. The story began back in 2012 when George asked Doris to lend him a hand.
Which would explain why he is no longer found in any document.
My father never mentioned his father, and I was curious to find out who he was.
I love helping people connect with their past and their heritage, and I've been a professional genealogist for like 30 years or so, and the thing is that I did it without thinking, and all 4 of George's grandparents were born slaves. So this was not an easy journey, but I learned a lot. George and I became good friends, and we found a very interesting story.
Those in attendance were fascinated as Doris explained how she unlocked the mystery. In fact, Doris and volunteers spent a great deal of time sifting through old court documents in hopes that George could find closure. But in the end, Doris informed the crowd that she was ultimately successful.
Were the farmer slaves.
She found his name and said he was killed, and then my grandmother remarried.
In the closing remarks of the ceremony, attendee Phyllis Hayden recognized that she was a distant relative to George Abington. He is the only relative she has ever met from her mother's side. A DNA kit was donated to both of them to prove their family connection. Events like this teach us about our history, and it also brings to light important stories that need to be heard.
If you don't know where you come from, you're always going to make mistakes, as a lot of people say. But the thing is, it centers the community if we know, what our history was, and it brings communities together.
Sometimes these stories aren't all cheerful, but they're important, and they need to be recorded and remembered so that people who are my age and younger can understand what our ancestors went through and be able to take that and apply it to the issues we're dealing with today.
History, community, and understanding were the foundation of this important presentation. And next time you drive by that old cemetery known as Sage Chapel, please remember those souls who were buried there. And thanks to the O'Fallon Historical Society and O'Fallon's Historic Commission for putting a presentation together that captured the hearts of many.